Welcome back, learners. We are discussing today about the quality of supply services, and till now we discussed about the overview of the performance benchmarking and key performance indicators. Now we are moving towards the performance improvement, and Mr. Mukherjee will be discussing about the performance benchmarking. As he was discussing in the last session, he will continue his discussion. Now I would like to request Mr. Mukherjee to please continue the discussions. And again, before Mr. Mukherjee take over, I would like to again request you that whenever you feel that there is any query, there is any question, if there is any doubt in your mind, please feel free to ask at any moment of the time. So please, Mr. Mukherjee.
Thank you. Up till now we have traversed a journey. Up till now we have talked about what to benchmark. What are the KPIs we should try to collect? Right now, from now onwards, rather for the next 1 hour and 15 minutes, I have been told that after 12:45 this class cannot be extended, so I have to keep track on my watch as well. So in the next 75 minutes, we will talk more about how to benchmark, how to do the benchmark in the organizational perspective. Okay, what should be the step-by-step benchmarking implementation plan? So with that background, friends, I am trying to again take you back to the groove again. Step-by-step benchmarking implementation plan. What you have to do? You have to gather and review data from customers, employees, processes, competitors, regulators. In any organization, there are some stakeholders. Who are they? Your customers or consumers, your employees, sometimes your stakeholders, sometimes the government, sometimes the shareholders, and sometimes the suppliers. So from all corners, you try to gather data from all corners and then develop a plan to achieve short-term benchmarking goal and develop a plan to achieve long-term benchmarking objectives. Then you have to develop an accountability matrix, tell people what to do, who has to do, and then develop ways and means to measure the success of the benchmarking implementation. So that is how you should plan out, that's how you should prepare your roadmap on this journey of benchmarking. Okay? And then after some time, you have to revisit to see where you are today, what you have planned, is there a deviation, is there any gap, how to bridge the gap, and so on and so forth. Now, to have a benchmarking plan, first and foremost is leadership commitment. Who is the leader? In all the utilities, your managing directors, in some cases the chairman, but everybody also, the superintending engineer and so on and so forth, they are also leaders in some way or the other. Who is a leader? A leader is somebody on whom we repose our faith and confidence that they will take us through. That is the purpose of having a leader. So a leader should be committed to benchmarking. Commitment means what? I can say that I am committed to the cause of benchmarking or TQM, but it has to be manifested in the form of what? In the form of resource allocation, in the form of time devotion, so that I will allocate resource to prove that I am committed to the cause of benchmarking. So leader must work together as a team to create an organization vision, mission, values, and then implementation strategies. Train others in the organization towards benchmarking. Visit other locations in your organization to see how benchmarking is working. Visit your people. Leadership commitment will be manifested the very moment you will see that your managing director is coming to a subdivision. I know all of you will have some kind of butterflies in your stomach, but at the same point of time, once the visit is over, you feel so relieved and relaxed and so happy. If managing director talks to you, says a few good words about you, says a few good words about the work you have put in, isn't it? So leadership commitment is perhaps sine qua non, is of great essence, is of great catalyst to do benchmarking program. Reinforce benchmarking through rewards, recognition and promotion. That's very, very important. People in the organization are to be recognized and rewarded and promoted if they have done some kind of benchmarking activity. Maintain close and direct contact with the key customers. That leaders should do. What the big customers want from me. Accordingly, I should try to guard up my loin. I should try to do whatever preparatory work I have to do in the organization. And so that we can achieve benchmarks. I mean, create an empowering environment. In today's world, in yesteryears, the people issues were not that important. We are in an era, as we call it, command and control era. In the command and control era works very well if the people do repetitive work. We are talking about an era of innovation creation. People cannot remain only committed or if they are controlled every now and then. Today is an era of empowerment and engagement. You need to empower your people. You need to engage your people. Otherwise, nothing is going to happen. That's the big challenge the leaders of today, be it the MD, be it the chief engineer, will have to face. Hold managers for account for implementing benchmarking. Yes, you need to hold managers accountable. Take ownership for key process improvement. If some kind of improvement happens, you must have the ownership. So that is perhaps the most important factor in doing the performance benchmarking in an organization. Leadership commitment. Without the commitment being manifested in tangible terms, benchmarking will continue to be on paper, will not be translated into actions. At the same point of time, you need to have the right kind of infrastructure. I mean, create a means to manage the benchmarking rollout, create a benchmarking infrastructure, identify, train, empower the internal benchmarking champions. There are some champions in all organizations. There are some champions. You need to empower them, develop a process for reopening and monitoring the benchmarking program, identify, select and train individuals to consult internally on quality implementation, designate one person to be directly accountable to the senior most person to execute implementation details, meaning thereby. You need to create an infrastructure and environment so that people are data driven, people are customer centric, people always look for the best. You know, people can always look in, people can always look out, people can always look ahead. What do you want? People should look ahead. If you do not look ahead, you cannot achieve benchmarking. You cannot do substantive improvement in the organization. So therefore, look ahead. Look ahead. Not only look in and look out. Look in is okay. Look out, you are seeing your competitor. But you have to look ahead as well. Then you can understand how benchmarking can transform the organization. You can do a lot of diagnostics and you must have got a long horizon in front of you, a vision in front of you, and accordingly you should create an infrastructure, an environment, a department. You create a department, at least allocate some resource, train them, try to ensure that they are really doing a lot of benchmarking activities. Accordingly, you develop a benchmarking rollout plan, term, short-term, long-term goal, and locations, see against whom to benchmark. That's very, very important. In a benchmarking process, yesterday it must have been talked about, we do a lot of kind of benchmarking, internal benchmarking, in the subdivision to subdivision, subdivision to subdivision, division to division, circle to circle, internal benchmarking. External benchmarking. In Gujarat, you have got 4 companies operating. Do a external benchmarking with one another. What Madhya Gujarat is doing and what South Gujarat is doing. Do the similar kind of thing in Karnataka as well. What BESCOM is doing, what GESCOM is doing, what SESCOM is doing. Isn't it? GESCOM, ESCOM, BESCOM. How they are doing the external benchmarking. Sometimes you have to go for national benchmarking. Sometimes you have to go for international benchmarking. So accordingly, you should set your targets to define where we should go. What is the cutoff point? If we cannot achieve this, there could be some penalties to us. That is threshold limit. Some targets and some distinguished level. If you can achieve this, I will be rewarded. So therefore, accordingly, you go for the rollout plan. I mean, it's very important. You have to have a rollout needs for your headquarters, your divisions, your regions, your units. It's a very complex process, but senior managers should be personally accountable. They must try to understand what is critical to quality factor to me, how I can do benchmarking. If the rollout plan is ready, then the rest is very simple. Rest go for measurement. You see, review existing measures in the light of benchmarking priorities. Develop a benchmarking measurement strategy and plan. Develop customer-driven, regulator-mandated listening strategies and methods. Customers are calling you. Are you listening to them? I mean, do you really listen to the consumers? We might listen to the regulator because there is some stick. So, you need to do a measurement of that. Establish new measures to track employee satisfaction. Establish new measures to track process improvement. Establish new measures to track organizational improvement. Develop benchmarking, measurement, tracking and reporting system. Where we are, where we are today, what is the target, why we are not able to achieve the target, tracking, evaluate, then get into action mode. Benchmark against world-class organizations. Many people we are. There are 2 things. One, we can do a bit of a reactive correction. Some people will do proactive prevention. I mean, choice is yours, sir. Whether should you do proactive prevention or reactive correction. I hope after today you will think about that kind of proactive preventions. Training is so important. Train. You need to really develop a benchmarking training strategy and plan. That's what you have to do. An organization has to do. It may not be you, somebody in the organization. Assign responsibility for benchmarking education to a senior manager. You must try to do an educate your senior manager. Identify gaps between current training and benchmarking training, meaning their part. We must understand it's our mindset. In many people, if I talk about US, benchmarks and so on and so forth, our mindset will be, this is possible in the US, this is not possible. We have got so many political interventions, so many other problems, complications. You will reel off with a list of problems. From today onwards, forget about problems, sir.
Yeah, please. Please speak, darling.
Think about challenges.
Yes, please. हाँ जी धीमे साहब, please बोलिए.
You were telling about 5S. I want to share with you that NDPL has implemented 5S for the last 2 years, and we have observed that there is a lot of reduction in time for attending the breakdown.
Wonderful, Bhimanta, wonderful. We congratulate you. In fact, I knew about it. In fact, NDPL has done it.
Some more information
Yeah.
about 5S, then it will be highly beneficial. Thank you.
Yes, yes, absolutely correct. In fact, I mean, NDPL is a progressive, very, very progressive organization. We all know that. NDPL is a part of the Asia, the Best Practice Club for Asia as well. But you know, there are many, many utilities in the country who are not up to, who are yet to imbibe 5S and so on and so forth. And in that context, we have talked about it. And I know of in some of the others as well, like MGVCL, they have started implementing 5S, perhaps following the queue. So I hope that maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line, all utilities all across the country will follow all this management best practices.
Actually, he needs elaborate discussion on 5S. He says that so that we can be benefited more.
No, that we have discussed in fact about that, you know, that will be a 3.5 half-hour class itself. So what the idea of 5S is, keep your environment clean, keep so that people can work in a very unfettered manner. The idea is that if, you know, suppose filing is such an important thing, we really fail to understand that. And therefore, if, you know, whenever you have to locate a paper, first thing we have, a lot of tension. Can we get it? Can we locate it? Suppose we have been able to locate the file, then has the paper been filed? So on and so forth. I mean, just an example of that. There is a 5S is a Japanese technology which has an immense potential of revolutionize our daily work practices. That's very, very important. You have said that your response time has come down. Again, I congratulate you. But you know, we have to do for the benchmarking. So 5S is a different topic. We'll talk about it on some other day, at some other forum perhaps. Okay. Coming back to this training, in fact, benchmarking, as you have said, that we have that kind of a mindset block. Whenever there is a change, we call for a change, we put a pause and think, should I swim along the tide or should I go for a change? So therefore, change is such an important thing in terms of training. If you have to give that kind of training to your people so that they can have access to all the primary as well as secondary source of information, they have the right kind of mindset to improve upon. Next is the resource allocation. We have talked about it. Identify full benchmarking needs for financial support. Yes, without finance, a lot of things cannot be achieved. You all understand that. Consider the needs of the customer and regulator when allocating resources. Customers and regulators, everybody will have some needs. Your financial people will have some needs. There are many, many competing needs, and you will have to decide on that. Incorporate quality into annual planning and budgeting processes. Consider your commitment to suppliers when allocating resources. You need to do this. Information, you know, today, as I've told you in the beginning, we are in an information revolution age. Without information and communication, you cannot do anything. For a benchmarking process also, gather and integrate information critical to benchmarking implementation. Develop benchmarking communication strategy. Assign a senior process owner. In a benchmarking process, you need to have a process owner, you need to have a process sponsor, you need to have a council so that you can move ahead. Communicate a personal statement from the CEO about commitment to benchmarking. That would have done wonders if CEO talks about some kind of a benchmarking. Provide systematic and periodic updates to customers and suppliers. You know, systems, yes. What is a system? All of you know. In any organizations, we really start with task elements. A lot of tasks we do in the day. Somebody is digging, somebody is writing, somebody is thinking. A lot of tasks we do. Task elements and tasks. Then we have duties. Then we have functions. Then we have systems. Then we have your firm level implementation. Then you have got your industry level. Then you have got the economy of the country. That's the hierarchy. So at the system level, align benchmarking with the strategy planning. That's very, very important. What is the strategy for the organization? Strategy means response to the environment? What is the strategy of the organization? Can you really align the benchmarking with the strategy? Align the benchmarking with other key organizational processes. Align benchmarking with customer needs. Include quality improvement in every person's job description. Every person should improve in terms of quality. And again, you need to have, if you are going for a benchmarking exercise, identify your key customers, develop customer alignment and strategy and plan, establish valid customer requirements and expectations, develop and use customer satisfaction measures. You know, I mean, NDPL, I mean, somebody has called up NDPL, Devanta was called up from NDPL. Many utilities now, they are doing a customer satisfaction survey. Why they are doing this? You know, we can say a lot of things that my customers are very, very happy. We provide them supply, 24-hour supply, no outage, so on and so forth. But it is better to see what the customers are talking about, sitting on the other side of the table. Customers are always there with a scanner, my dear friend. Customers are always there with a telescope. Customer is trying to find out what you are doing. So, therefore, with some of the customers, you have to create a partnership relationship. Why? So that customer focus group you can have. Customer will give you invaluable suggestions to improve upon your own performance. The job which you should have done are being done by the customers. Thereby, it will help you to achieve those benchmarks. In your benchmarking exercise, it will be invaluable. So therefore, customers' inputs are so important. You know, at the same point of time, in today's era, regulators are to be taken into consideration. Develop and communicate policies and procedures to remedy certain errors. Empower everyone to meet the regulatory requirements. Go for rewards and awards, we talked about it. Gather continuous feedback from the regulator. Regulator will tell you, are you on track or are you falling behind? Regulator, so try to have regulator on your side. And many utilities, people think that regulators are there to inspect, to investigate, to oversee. No. Regulators are there to facilitate. Have that idea. Work with the regulator. You will see definitely it will help you. Anticipate the regulator's future needs. What the regulator is going to do in the next few years, the next few months. Benchmark to help achieve continuous improvement and measure the quality of competition. That you should do. Again, you see the suppliers. That's very, very important. In a benchmarking process, suppliers are to be involved. Suppliers are your partners. Contractors are your partners. Please appreciate, they are the strategic partners of yours. If they improve, you improve. With them, you have got a symbiotic relationship. You grow, I grow, met for each other. So therefore, without the suppliers' involvement, you cannot do benchmarking. I'm sure you have to have a supply alignment strategy and plan. Establish, go for vendor certification process, anticipate supply future requirements. If required, provide the supplier the training, offer them training, give the supplier awards, benchmark with key suppliers to learn how competitors are operating, gather continuous feedback from the suppliers, empower everyone in the organization to improve a relationship with the suppliers. That's very, very important in a benchmarking process. Then of course, continuous improvement. Continuous improvement, meaning thereby, as I've told you, plan, do, check, act. Whatever I did yesterday, I will do it better today. That's it. You know, that is continuous improvement. Thereby, all the people in the organization will be involved and you can achieve success. So these are the, so we have come up to the we have talked about continuous improvement. If there is any query up till now on the benchmarking, how the benchmarking is being done, how data validation is being done, how data accuracy is being checked, how the customer, suppliers, your employees, your leadership, your suppliers, all are being involved in a mesh to achieve benchmarking, I will be very, very happy to reply. Now, I will talk about some of the specific tools which are being used by the industry to do performance measurement. For example, the first one is Balanced Business Scorecard. I will talk about it. In fact, somebody has called up from NDPL for information. NDPL is implementing Balanced Business Scorecard. I mean, they started the work, if I am not wrong, in 2005, October or November. I do not know the progress, but at that time, the then CEO, Mr. Sadana, was very, very committed to that. And many utilities across the world as well, they are implementing Balanced Business Scorecard. So, why it is Balanced Business Scorecard? In a utility, as I told you, there are some why it has to be balanced. You see, there are some stakeholders. Some are the shareholders, they look after the financials. Shareholders understand money. Money is the language of the shareholder, there is no doubt about it. CEO will look after the people and so on and so forth to meet shareholders' expectation. Anyway, in the other organization you have customers, they are also the stakeholder. You have the people, employees. So employees' learning and growth should be a very, very important ingredient for the success of the organization. And you have internal business process, meaning thereby how people, shareholder, employees and customers are interlinked. Based on this, some kind of metrics has been developed. That is called Balanced Business Scorecard. Why it is a business scorecard, but it is balanced. It takes care of not only the interest of the shareholders in the terms of financials, not only the customers, but also the people, the employees, and also how the internal processes are interlinked to achieve something. That's why a balanced scorecard is so important in today's world. So, just to tell you more about it, Robert Kaplan and David Norton, they really invented Balanced Business Scorecard in mid-90s. They wrote something about it in the Harvard Business Review to start with. They understand what is the importance of intangible assets, the capturing, the measuring mechanism, long-term capability, what are the core issues, and how the future performance is being driven. So, with this background, I will tell you about an illustrative balanced scorecard. You see, under finance, there can be many parameters. One may be ROC, return on capital employed. Now, you have got a measure, I mean that is whatever be the way, percentage, that's the unit of measurement, how to calculate I have written. Now, suppose if you can achieve the target, you are going to get full score of 10. Now, there is a floor value as well. Of the floor value, if you can achieve the floor value of 5, in this case the floor value is 5%, target is 6%. So, if you have to achieve at least 5% to score some points. If you cannot, you will get 0. Now, if you can achieve 6, you are going to get full score. If you are in between 5 and 6, you will get some prorated score. Similarly, under the finance, we have put 3 distribution and admin other expenses in terms of per unit of sale, in terms of your finance cost. So, percentage, paise, there is a different unit of measurement. Similarly, floor level, your target level, achieve the floor level, achieve the target level. So, if you can achieve the floor level, you are going to get some points. So, these are the the indicators for the financials. You can have many more indicators. I have given a very illustrative one. From the customer perception of service. Go for a customer satisfaction survey and see how the customers are rating you. I mean, overall service standard. You put an overall service standard. See to what extent you can achieve those overall service standards. 70%, 80%. In this case, we have put say 95% you have to achieve. And if you can achieve 90%, that's the floor level. If you are less than 90%, you are going to get 0. Similarly, your network downtime. You can always calculate the network downtime. Then different processes, supply chain efficiency, the loss reduction, so important. Billing timing, billing accuracy. You are putting, depending on the weights you are assigning to each of these parameters, you are deciding the full score. Once you can achieve those targets, you are going to get the full score. That is the floor limit. I have already told you how to determine the floor limit. You see, the way we do, there can be many data which are there with you. Take the average of this data. That should be the floor level. Have a frontier curve, which is the best performance curve. That should be your target. If you are beyond that, that's a distinguished level of achievement. Few of you can do that. That's okay. So that frontier curve will help us determine the target and the average of all the performance. That will be the floor level. Maybe slightly more than that. That's how generally all across the industry floor level is being determined. That is the floor level, average level. The target should be that frontier level, which is definitely much more than the average level. Similarly, learning and growth, the learning and growth, the productivity rate, employees, and so on and so forth. You can have many parameters to decide the illustrative balanced scorecard. I have just shown you one. You can always design many more like you have been shown with many more parameters. Now I will talk about something called Six Sigma. You see, I will not get into much more details of it. We have talked about control chart. It is, Six Sigma is a statistical measure of the performance of process and product or a service, a goal that reaches a near perfection improvement. Meaning that, you see, why Six Sigma? In the electrical industry, Six Sigma is this very embryonic stage, very early stage. Banking industry has come. In many others it has come. Meaning thereby, when the competition is getting very stiff, people are going for zero error. No error. One error. So, for example, you see, there is a company called Xerox. They really first brought this concept of Six Sigma. Thereby, they really talk about 3.4 defects. 3.4 defects per million. So if there is a 10 lakh opportunities, if you can achieve really a defects level of 3.4, we will call that we are operating at Six Sigma level. You calculate all your companies, and I have given all these values. You will be operating somewhere in the 1 Sigma level or 2 Sigma level. I am very sure. 3.4. So Xerox brought this concept. Then there was a person called Jack Welch. I do not know whether you have heard his name or not. Jack Welch was the chairman and chief executive officer of a company called General Electric. He really popularized this concept all across the globe. Many companies understood and they went ahead and implemented Six Sigma principle and Six Sigma work, just to make it error-free. Today in fact people are talking about 9 Six Sigma in airline industry like Boeing, etc. In airline, you will see you are producing, you are manufacturing something, or you are providing some service which has got different components. You cannot afford to have even one error in any of these components. If you afford to have one error, that will make your entire service different. Can you do this? In airline industry, they cannot. If there is an error in any of these components, you can understand the implication of it. Similarly, in the power industry also, Six Sigma concept is coming up very fast. But in India, it is still in a very, very embryonic stage. I mean, in a Six Sigma, you have to have genuine focus on your customer. Second is, you need to tease out data and fact. It should be data and fact driven management. Processes are where the action is, proactive management, boundaryless collaboration. Forget the idea of having different functions and different departments. What we have seen in the power sector, my dear friend, don't mind please. We have got more allegiance to our department than to the organization. If something goes wrong, first we think, are we safe? I hope there is no mistake from our end. We fail to appreciate the fact that the company is suffering. So, the point I am trying to harp on is, what you have got to understand, that we have to talk about boundaryless collaboration. Meaning thereby, there is no boundary. All departments should work in team. They should work in symphony. They should work in Zubin Mehta's symphony instead of doing anything else. Drive for perfection, tolerate. Sometimes you have to tolerate failure as well, but drive for perfection. That's very, very important. In our mindset, we never think about perfection. I call it jugaadbaji. In our principle, in our thing, we always have a very, very short-term thinking. Something has happened, do some patchwork and get it up and running. I am safe. That should not be our approach in any kind of monitoring method. The approach is, they call it DMIC problem solving model. DMIC means define, measure, analyze, improve and control. Define means go for a business case, find out what are the constants, what is the scope of work you have to do, what are the players. That's very, very important. In a team, you should know what roles each individual is playing, without which nothing can achieve. I should know who is an opening batsman and who is the opening bowler and who is the wicket keeper. Before starting on the match, I should know whether Mahendra Singh Dhoni is going to keep wickets or Dinesh Karthik is going to keep wickets. We should know that who are the opening batsmen, the roles and responsibilities of each and every team member should be very, very clear. Once we are on the battlefield, once we are doing some kind of Six Sigma or something else, we should not think about that who is doing what. If we think that way, there will be, if there is no norming, that will lead to storming, and that will not lead us to perform, and ultimately we will adjourn. So, if we do not want to have that kind of a situation of norming, storming, forming, performing, and then adjoining, you must know the roles and responsibilities of the group dynamics. And what is the schedule? There is a problem of transformer failure. We have to reduce the failure rate from 15% to 5%. But by when? Whenever you set a target, please have a schedule, timelines. 15% to 10% in 2 years, 10% to 7% in next 3 years, 7% to 5% in the next 2 years. Timelines. They are to be time calibrated, time stamped benchmarks. Otherwise, it is not going to take place. Second is your measure. Gather data to validate and quantify the problem. Tease out fact and data. Process view. Yes. The SIPOC model. Any process, whenever we have, process means what? We have a supplier, SIPOC, supplier, then an input, then process, then output. Outputs are meant for some defined customers. That is called SIPOC model, SIPOC. So they must have got a process view to solve the problem. Then analyze method, your machines, your material, your measure, your sometimes mother and earth will be there, and you know there is a huge storm, you cannot control a fault. Forget about them. You cannot do that. Then the people, the people issue, the man people, then you should go for a solution and action. And then control the developing process, creating response plan. That's very, very important. We must have got a response plan. Without a response plan, we cannot achieve anything. That's a basic fundamental of any Six Sigma journey, or for that matter any benchmarking journey. Something is going on. What is the plan B? You will design a lot of things. When you come to office in the morning, when you come to office, either in the car or in the bus or in the scooters or in the motorbike, you think in the morning that I will do a lot of things. But once you come to the office, you have been hijacked by other compelling requirements. Your boss will give you some other job, somebody will give you some other job, and you had some kind of a thought process which you had at 8 o'clock in the morning, you are totally lost. So therefore, you must have got a response plan. If plan A doesn't work, plan B should work. Therefore, all utility people must have got a shock absorber. What you have in a car, you are going to have shocks, no doubt about it. You must absorb and move ahead. Otherwise, without the shock absorber, you cannot perform in any way whatsoever. I mean, also you have to help the management to focus on the critical measures. Friends, we have talked about how to implement performance benchmarking. In that context, we have talked about various quality tools. We have talked about balanced scorecard, that's a management tool. Six Sigma, that's a management tool. Quality tools are functional tools which you have to do at your workplace. Then we talked about a lot of management tools. But after so many words, we think that still benchmarking doesn't take place in many organizations. Quality improvement does not take place in many organizations. We talk a lot, but at the implementation level, a lot of things happen which really take precedence over our other priorities, and we get lost. It does not take place. So let us try to do a post-mortem, or try to do a anatomy of those reasons of failure. Because the awareness of potential obstacles that may hinder the benchmarking will prevent many of them from happening. There is a saying, forewarned is forearmed. If I have been warned before, I have been armed before. Forewarned is forearmed. So therefore, we thought that let us add a few slides on reasons of failure once we have traversed a length. You see, you cannot have benchmarking without building the quality culture. What is culture, by the way, my dear friend? I have asked many people, they could not answer what culture is. Culture is something which is called social glue, social adhesive. You know, when you are born, you saw your parents. Whatever your parents were doing, you started doing that. The very moment you have come to the organization, you have seen others. And whatever they are doing, you started doing. In many organizations, you take the permission of your boss before leaving the office. In some organizations, the culture is different. Once the clock strikes 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, we will say goodbye, see you tomorrow morning. So the approach is the culture. That is the social glue. So in an organization, benchmarking will happen if and only if you have got a quality culture. There is no quality culture. People are not bothered about whatever they are doing. People are not bothered about teamwork. You see, what is teamwork? All of you know. Meaning thereby, once you have joined, somebody has joined Delhi Vidyut Board or NDPL, or somebody has joined Reliance Energy, somebody has joined GEB, somebody has joined some other organizations. The paradigm was you. The very first day you have come to the office, you have seen the people. And you are depending on others for doing anything. From bearer to the top man, you are depending on somebody for doing anything. You was the paradigm. Gradually, you went up the ladder. You will learn, no, now I have learned everything. So now I is the paradigm. Whatever I will do is the last word of wisdom. Many people think that way. I became the paradigm. But gradually we come to understand there are many ecosystems in the organization, and we are a part of one of them. So if I have to move up the ladder, if I have to progress in the organization, we should be the paradigm. That is the genesis of teamwork. So if if there is no teamwork in the organization, benchmarking will never take place. There are many people in a peer management, many people do not want to share information with others. They believe that if I share information and knowledge with others, then my information is being depleted. My knowledge level is being reduced. It's not the case. If you started sharing with information with others, the other person will start sharing information with you. As a result, both of you will be benefited in future. That realization is not there with many one of us. Similarly, lack of top management commitment and involvement, and talked about it, employee resistance to change. You see, though all of us understand the change is the only certainty in our life, but we have got a huge apprehension of change. Whenever we talk about a change, the first thing is that protest. Suppose you have been asked to attend these classes at 00 hours at midnight. First thing, there can be some rationale behind this. Maybe at that time satellite cost will be lesser for IGNOU. Maybe, I don't know. But first thing will be you are going to resist. So in a benchmarking exercise also, whenever you will talk that we have to be the best under the sun, there will be lot of resistance. People will always try to react to any change. So therefore, in a benchmarking exercise, there will be change, but that should not be a cause of your failure. As I told you, barriers between departments, that's very important. In many organizations, we have got an emphasis on quick fix. Quick fix solution. We are great in that. There is a problem, we have got a magic wand, we will go for a quick fix solution. And then we are happy. Short-term goal. Then benchmarking will never take place. You have to have a long-term focus to ensure that you are on the right track. Similarly, do not make benchmarking process very complicated with statistical process control techniques. Statistics, probabilities, so on and so forth. They are so fabulous, but they are very arcane to us. We do not understand many of those statistical applications. So try to do benchmarking in a very simple but subtle manner, whereby all the people in the organization can understand whatever you are doing. Employees, if the employees did not see much purpose, then also it will be a failure. Clashes with other initiatives. You need to link benchmarking strategically. You will say that if I do not benchmark, I am going to be punished by the regulator in short term. A lot of money I have to spend for meeting those eventualities coming out of penalties being imposed on us. Company, at the same point of time, if I do not improve my ETC losses, one fine morning I will be out of my cash flow. So, you need to link your benchmarking exercise strategically. Otherwise, there will be less buy-in. More buy-in will come once and if and only if you can correlate benchmarking with the strategic objective of the organizations. Whenever you will do benchmarking, there will be some downsizing and delayering of the organization. Middle management will not support. Middle management will not support. I can tell you. So that's also another reason for the failure. Many initiatives were left halfway because they did not result in improved profits. You know, many people as a species, we are very, very impatient. We need quick fix solution. We need quick money. So therefore, if we find that benchmarking is not providing tangible gain in the first 3-4 months, we will think, let it go. But of course, therefore, you have to design in a benchmarking exercise in such a manner that there will be modular success, replicable success, scalable success, upgradable success, and then sustainable success. If you can do all this, then your success will be sustainable. Similarly, you know, in many people are satisfied with status quoism. Theek chal raha hai. Whatever is happening, I am very, very happy. Status quoism. Absence of continuous improvement. That will be another failure of benchmarking. Do not believe in status quoism. As I told you, look ahead. Do not look in. Do not look out. Look ahead. If you look ahead, success is guaranteed. Obsession with short-term results, including profit, market share, cost, so on and so forth. Sometimes our bosses do indiscriminate cost cutting. In many organizations, after April, training will start with a lot of fanfare. Towards the end of the year, boss will see a lot of cost, a lot of spending. Why don't you reduce the training budget? That's such a devastating thing. Training budgets are being curtailed towards the end of the year, despite the so much of anger and anguish of the HR people. Sir, do not do this. But the very moment you will see, we do not have cash, sufficient money, and we have to do a lot of other capital works. So why should we invest in the human capital right now? It can be deferred. But we don't understand. Deferring by investment in human capital, we are doing something which is not correct. Our people, in many of the utilities, I am very sure, all of you, in many of the utilities, many of us are satisfactorily underperforming. We don't understand that we are underperforming. Satisfactorily underperforming. Another problem happens in benchmarking. Satisfactorily underperforming. We are very happy. Whatever we are doing, 20% loss, so on and so forth. Satisfactorily underperforming. One fine morning, there will be a regulatory fiat. There will be a regulatory ruling that will shake you up, my dear friend. Then you have to get into action mode. You have to reinvigorate. You have to rejuvenate. Therefore, what I will request you, do not get into that kind of stuff. Unempowered poorly motivated, paid personnel and disregard for their ideas and suggestions. Unfortunately, we do not offer a lot of regards to the ideas of the people. You know, people are the incubators of innovations. People do all kinds of innovations. They are incubating, just like a child is being born. So, but many people fail to understand that. They believe, I am the super boss, I understand everything, I know everything. Our know-all approach, our know-all and please-all approach, these two approach, know-all, I know everything, and I love to please everyone, please all my bosses. They are the two, they play a devastating role in the benchmarking exercise. Don't allow such kind of an attitude in the organization. There are many things which are important in benchmarking. We have to understand, without people involvement, without process measurement, without customer involvement, without partnership with the suppliers, without continuous improvement, without employee participation, benchmarking cannot happen. You see, another thing, you see, in many organizations you have got a hand-off relationship with suppliers, with contracts being awarded to the lowest bidder. Most of the organizations, hand-off, just transaction-based. Do you have a transaction-based approach with the supplier? Our industry, see the auto industry. You know, there is a company called Suzuki. They came to India to set up this Maruti auto plant in Gurgaon, which is not far away from this place where I am talking right now. What they do? They came to India in the early 80s. They said, I will not go to India alone. I will come to India along with my partners, my suppliers. So along with them, a company came called Denso. Because of at that time we did not have those kind of license Raj, because as you all know, before the golden summer of 1991, before 21st June of 1991, India had a license Raj. So therefore they set up the plant along with Maruti and brought Denso along with him, but Denso cannot set up their own factory. So SRF, another Indian company, joined hands with them. SRF Denso was formed. Just like Motherson Sumi, just like Kyo Steering, Sona Steering, Sona Kyo Steering. Kyo is in Japanese form, Sona is Indian form. Then again you have the Motherson Sumi, you have Denso, Subros, all these companies. Suzuki brought them along with them. That is the partnership. No handoff, no transaction. The relationship should start as a transaction. Then it becomes alliance. Then it becomes strategic partnership, fellow traveler. That's very, very important. Fellow traveler, if I grow, you grow, symbiotic relationship. So with handoff relationship, it doesn't matter. It really, benchmarking will never take place. Then, crisis management. We are great in that, sir. We know how to manage a crisis. So we simply wait for that time, when the crisis will bring up. Then we will swing into action and establish that crisis can be, that we can really save the organization from a real crisis, without thinking that that crisis could be averted by us well in hand. We know how to rush operations. We have that firefighting mentality. All of you, most of you come to office and do firefighting all day long, and at the end of the day, go back home with a great plan for tomorrow, only to be disappointed the following day when you have to get into firefighting mode once again.
Okay.
So, therefore, before the bosses, we set a lot of impractical deadlines. Don't do this. Another reasons for failure of benchmarking. Bosses will get very, very impatient with you if you set impractical deadlines. Speak the truth. Call a spade a spade. Sir, I cannot do it in 2 days' time. I will need so many days of time. Generally, if the bosses are believes in democratization, it really happens very smoothly. Otherwise, it doesn't take place. You all understand the reason. I mean, if there is a reign of terror in the organization, reign of fear in the organization, we cannot speak out the truth, then there is a problem. So do not set impractical deadlines. Emphasis on correction and inspection rather than preventive and proactive. So we need to understand, then there is a lot of emphasis on correction and inspection. But we should be more proactive and preventive. Do more preventive maintenance. Do more proactive maintenance. In some organizations, they are doing just-in-time maintenance. Do a lot of diagnostic study to ensure that all of your equipment are in the right shape and they can be operated at the right moment. So that is the you need to emphasize on that. If we have got a very, very unreliable processes and systems, you're gone. At the beginning I told you, an organization is made of people, process and technology. There are, in our process, there are 5 generic processes: asset management, system operation, field operation, corporate processes and customer processes. But all processes and systems should be reliable. Reliable means what? Whenever they are supposed to act, whenever they have to act, they should be able to act. Whosoever is the trigger or whatever is the trigger, that should be activated at the right point of time. Otherwise, you will not be able to achieve whatever you are expected to achieve. So, reasons of failure are very, very important. Sometimes centralized and bureaucratic decision making. You need to have this kind of centralized and bureaucratic decision making is the bane. Try to go for more decentralization. Otherwise, these things, this improvement journey, we cannot go on an improvement spiral if we are very, very bureaucratic. Bureaucratic means what? Very slow. Cutting the T's, dotting the I's. So, getting into that mode will not help. I'm sure will not help. So, you need to be centralized. You need to be quite decentralized. As I told you, empower and vision making. So, what we have told you right now, up till now, for the last 3.5 hours or 3 hours and 35 minutes, we started with the ideas of Drum, how we are trying to create a center of excellence. Then we talked about different performance measures, be it on system demographics, be it on cost of supply, be it in customer service, be it in employee productivity, be it in financial ratios, be it in regulatory requirements. Different performance measures have been designed and you have to capture the data. I expect that from tomorrow onwards you would approach it more data driven and more fact based. Sometimes we really discount the realities. We go by our instincts and perceptions. That does not work well sometimes. So therefore, you must have got a fact based, data driven, KPI based approach that will help you in making a better tomorrow. Then we talked about how to do our performance benchmarking. We talked about leadership involvement. We talked about infrastructure. We talked about systems. We talked about processes. We talked about customers, suppliers, performance measurement, continuous improvement, so on and so forth. After that, we talked about some of the quality control tools. We talked about histogram. We talked about Pareto diagram, which espouses vital few, trivial many. Then we talked about some of the management tools like balanced business scorecard, like Six Sigma, and of course we talked about plan, do, check, act as well. Then we sounded a note of caution. What are the causes of failure? And if we do a cause and effect diagram of that, why benchmarking, why quality initiatives? We are talking about quality of service. Why the quality initiatives are not taking place? In that context, we raised an alarm. We talked about a lot of failures, why it does not happen. And the idea is we must have got a involved employee, delighted customers whose affections we have got, leadership commitment, supplier partnership. Based on all this, if we can achieve all this, success is guaranteed, my dear friend. With all these words, I will say namaste to all of you and conclude my discussion on this. If you have any question and answer, I will be very, very delighted to reply. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee, for such a nice presentation. Really, the presentations were so clear, so explicitly, and so nicely detailed that our learners must have been benefited in this area. And if the learners have any question, any query, or any doubt in their mind, they may ask, because we are having still 7-8 minutes with us. In the meantime, I would like to request our regional centers and other video conferencing receiving centers that please send us the feedback regarding the attendance. Next teleconference we are having, though our learners are having this teleconferencing schedule with them, next teleconferencing is now on May 26th on financial management. The topic will continue on next day also on May 27. I told our learners yesterday that there was a little change in the schedule. Earlier on June 2nd and June 3rd, the topic were related to the information technology. June 2nd will remain as it is, but on June 2nd we are now fixing a topic which we earlier cancelled or postponed on March 11. March 11 was scheduled for energy conservation, but it was postponed, and now we are fixing this topic, energy conservation, on June 3rd. So on June 3rd, in place of information technology, energy conservation topic will be there. And this information technology topic we are shifting to June 10th, which was earlier slotted for open house. Now in place of open house there will be a discussion, there will be discussions on information technology. So for information technology we will have presentations on June 2nd and again on June 10th, and on June 3rd we will have presentations on energy conservation. This is regarding the little change in the video conferencing schedule. For the benefit of the learners who might have missed our some 2-3 last lectures, that the term end exam for this ACPDM program now has been postponed from June 2007 to December 2007, and for the information of the learners, for appearing in this December 2007 exam, you have to fill in the examination form during the period of August 1st to 30th September. the forms which you filled in for June examination will not work for the December examination. So for December examination you have to again fill in the examination form during August 1st to the 30th September. I would like to request our learners to disseminate information of the admissions for the July 2007 cycle also. As you know, the admissions are open for the July 2007 cycle of this ACPDM program. So you can convey to your friends or colleagues regarding this, that forms are available at regional centers as well as at the headquarters for the July 2007 cycle of the ACPDM program. And the last date to submit these application form at the regional centers is May 31st. So now I think, yeah, certainly.
In fact, it was a pleasure talking to all of you, sir. In fact, I would have been happier had I been able to interact with all of you more frequently and more interactively. But always you can contact me at my email ID bp.mukherjee@paconsulting.com. I mean, it's there. And for more information also, this presentation I'm going to post on the DRUM programs website, that is drumindia.org. If you have missed any of the slides, if you would like to write more, or if you have to try to collect more information, you can always access the drumindia.org to get more information. Thank you very much. I am privileged and honored having been come to this place, and again my best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much.
In addition to the announcement by Mr. Mukherjee, I would like to inform the learners that this presentation will also be in addition to the DRUM website, this will also be available on our Yahoo Group website as well as on the IGNOU website also.
Thank you.
So you can access this presentation at any of the website. And now we are coming to end of this session. So I would like to thank Mr. Mukherjee for such nice presentations.
Thank you.
Our learners must have been benefited. And if there is any query in the future also, you can write mail to us. We can forward these mails to Mr. Mukherjee. He can answer, and we can post those answers on the Yahoo Group, and you can access those questions and the answers at the Yahoo Group. So thank you for your cooperation and the patient listening. But I expected much more interaction. We could heard only from 2 places, whereas our facilities are at right now at about 50 centers. So we would be delighted if you would have asked questions from all the centers. But in future, I expect that you will interact more and more, and you will be benefited that way. Thank you to all.